Every year, on the first Saturday in August, thousands of Detroiters come together to show their pride in the city. It's known as Arise Detroit Neighborhoods Day. This is the 9th year for the event, which features as many as 200 community activities throughout Detroit. There are festivals, educational events, cleanup projects, home renovations, gardening, and many other initiatives organized by community groups, block clubs, businesses, churches, and individuals. Arise Detroit is a nonprofit that promotes volunteerism and community activism. Here to tell us more about this year's event is the executive director of Arise Detroit, Luther Keith. He's joined by Stephanie Johnson-Cobb from Focus Hope and Errol Jennings of the historic Russell Woods Sullivan Area Association. Thanks to you all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Luther, tell me about this labor of love that has been Arise Detroit.
Well, it's something truly awesome that we now like to call Detroit's Great Neighborhood Tradition, 9 years into it. And we started with the idea that we wanted to do more to lift up the people who work all year long, tirelessly, without fanfare, and had big headlines in our neighborhoods throughout the year. And so we know we have a lot of great events downtown, the fireworks and all the rest of it, but we said, why don't we create a day to really lift up the people in the neighborhoods? And so we asked people in the neighborhoods, the churches, the block clubs, community groups, as you discussed, to do something in their own neighborhood. You decide what it is, you decide where it is, but we want to do it all over the city. And it's grown incredibly now, where it involves hundreds of organizations, thousands of volunteers. And it's an amazing thing to see. And it's something that uniquely Detroit. I know some cities around the country do their version of Neighborhoods Day, but I don't think any of them is big or as deep and have the type of impact that we have. And as your guest here will indicate, some amazing things are happening all over the city. And we think everybody should be part of it because it brings out the best of Detroit.
Do you think this focus on neighborhood activity is more important now than it has been before?
Well, I think it absolutely is because, you know, a lot of discussion, the narrative has been about downtown and midtown, which is great. But, you know, we've always been involved in neighborhoods. As someone said, we were Detroit before Detroit was cool, okay? Mm-hmm. So 7, 8, 9 years ago when Arise Detroit started and the other groups are working, we've been working all along. But we think this is the right message at the right time. Focus on the neighborhoods, get involved in the neighborhoods, be part of the neighborhoods, help bring our neighborhoods back. That's what Neighborhoods Day is really about. And it's really more than one day. It actually is, and we have events before Neighborhoods Day, events after Neighborhoods Day, events on Neighborhoods Day. And so if you're serious about the neighborhoods and you have pride, you really should be part of Neighborhoods Day, and that's our message.
Stephanie, talk about the role Focus Hope is playing.
So Focus Hope has been a partner of Neighborhoods Day and Mr. Keith for many years now. This year we're having one of those events that will happen before Neighborhoods Day in partnership with the Evangelical Lutheran Churches of America. And we're going to have thousands of volunteers come to our community on July 16th, 17th, and 18th for a huge cleanup project. We want to ensure that that community, or our community, is 100% clean, safe, and beautiful. And so we'll be kicking that off in partnership with Mr. Keith and the Evangelical Lutheran Churches of America.
That sounds exciting. Talk about what's going to be happening in your neighborhood, Errol.
Well, it's exciting in Russell Woods. And Russell Woods, our organization's been around since 1958. And in fact, my vice president has been vice president of the organization since 1969. So what we found in Russell Woods is really the old guard, the senior citizens are really still carrying the torch for the neighborhood. And when I met Luther last year, we were able to look at Neighborhoods Day as a way to re-galvanize Russell Woods and get more youth and get more of our active residents that haven't been out participating to really engage in our neighborhood. And last year was wonderful. I mean, we had lots of kids, bouncers, face painting. So that's what we use the event for, is really to get people reinvigorated, not just our senior citizens that are at the head, and thank God for them, because Russell Woods is one of those areas that we don't have a significant amount of blight. You know, our streets are a little bit safer because we're involved in the neighborhood, and it was really the elders of the neighborhood that had made that happen for us. And so Neighborhoods Day is a way to play it forward, if you want, and not just celebrate what's going on in Russell Woods, but the rest of the community in Detroit. There are so many neighborhoods that are doing exactly what Russell Woods has done, and we are out there, we clean up our streets, we watch, we look out for each other. I heard somebody say, well, you know, the suburbanites, they're neighborhoods. Detroit is a community. And that's really what we want to promote, because it's really going to take all of us, you know. And it's not just downtown and midtown. The neighborhoods have been there, and people have been in Detroit for so many years, carrying that torch, making sure and looking out. And this is just a way to celebrate for us.
Luther, this seems like it's also a time to identify what specific neighborhoods in Detroit need, because it's not a monolith.
No.
And so you have areas that are more populated, you have
right,
areas
right.
that have more issues with
Exactly.
safety. So how do you go about creating a strategy that responds to each need?
Well, you know what happens, Jennifer, when people see other people engage, that makes them want to engage. We've had people, because of neighborhoods, form block clubs because of Neighborhoods Day. We have people who nothing happened in their neighborhood, got things to happen in their neighborhood because of Neighborhoods Day. Neighborhoods Day was a case of a park that was adopted by a youth group on the west side of Detroit. The park had been neglected. These young people were out there, cleanest park. The people in the neighborhood started coming out with lawnmowers and rakes to help them. They lived next to it because they saw that somebody cared. With Neighborhoods Day, when you look at all the activities, it makes you ask the question, why am I not doing anything? Why am I not part of this? Why is this not happening in the neighborhood? And the thing that people need to understand about Neighborhoods Day, Arise Detroit does not dictate who does what. Every community organization decides on their own what to do, when to do, how to do, where to do it. So we really put the ball in their hands and says, this is your ball, you need to run with it. And I think most people realize that you know, it starts with you. When Arise Detroit is about being part of the solution, but it's about you being part of the solution. One young lady, Felicia Andrews, has a great group called Team 313, Young People Clean Up in Detroit. She said she looked around her neighborhood and she had hit people here and say, they should clean up that, they should tear down that. She finally said, who is they should? Is that a person? No, we should. So we should own this. We know things aren't perfect. We all would like things to be better. We all would like the government maybe to solve all the problems. It's not going to happen. So as my mother said, you know, Jesus is coming, but he's probably not coming tonight, okay? That means we have to engage. And the incredible thing about Neighborhoods Day is to see what happens all over this city. You know, it's not what Luther Keith is doing or Rise. It's what people want to do this. We are not paying them money to do this. And this is the strongest sign of hope in Detroit when you see hundreds of organizations and thousands of people all over this city, Southwest, East Side, West Side, getting up and doing something like this. They are not doing it because they don't have hope. They are not doing it because they don't believe. Quite the contrary, they do believe. And that's why I have really confidence about the future of the city, because too many people care about the city, love the city, but more than that, too many people are willing to do something to help the city. And that's what Neighborhoods Day is about.
Your passion is very clear.
Oh, really?
For this project. For this project.
I try to control that.
For the city of Detroit.
Yes.
But I would imagine that passion has been necessary, because this hasn't been a short road for you.
No, it hasn't. But, you know, it's been a great road, because the first 6, 7 years of Arise Detroit, the national media would come in here and they were all writing about the death of Detroit, the tragedy of Detroit, the this and that of Detroit. The last 2 years, last year, particularly since the bankruptcy, I'm getting all these calls about people. We want you to take us to the neighborhood so we can write the comeback story of Detroit. In my previous life as a journalist, I was a sports writer. People love a comeback story or the underdog story. That's the story that Detroit is writing right now. But we have to keep writing this story. We can't, headlines won't get it done for us. You know, platitudes won't get it done for us. Work will get it done. So I say this, it's not enough to believe. It's not enough to have a dream. You have to work. That's what Errol is doing. That's what Stephanie and Focus Hope are doing. They are working. And that's how we change our community. People say, how's it going to stop? How's it going to change? When there's a shooting or a tragedy or crime, people say, oh, where is the outreach? Well, outreach does not change things. A plan changes things. People change things. So get engaged and let's do it and let's work. Then we will change it. And I submit that things actually do change on Neighborhoods Day. I like to call it a day that changes Detroit, because houses that are blighted go down, urban gardening goes up, kids come out. So in fact, we are changing Detroit. Every Neighborhoods Day changes Detroit. And it's going to happen again August 1st in neighborhoods all over this city.
Stephanie and Errol, what does it mean to have somebody like Luther who comes to you and says, I got this idea? I mean, this is a special kind of passion. It's not to say that there aren't other people in Detroit who don't have that same passion. We'll see them all out at Neighborhoods Day. But talk about this man.
Well, as I said, Mr. Keith has been a wonderful partner, and our goals and values align for the community. And so Focus Hope has adopted about 100 blocks right around our campus with a 20-year goal that by 2031, people will be educationally well prepared, living in a safe, supportive environment, and economically self-sufficient. So it takes all of these activities, including a Neighborhoods Day and a reason to gather people together. So we've been doing this work this year. We're going to work before Arise Detroit, July 16th through 18th. We still need many volunteers to come out and help. So if people want to help, they can register at our website, www.edu/FocusHope/100. And we need donations and people want to come out. But furthering that, everything we collect, we have been planning a tool bank that we can make all of these tools and resources available both to groups who are volunteering for Arise Detroit Day and beyond. So,
Errol, what about you?
Yes, Luther's a special kind of energy, right? And I really appreciate him, and a lot of people that work with Luther really appreciate him. It's that energy that we really need to catch on throughout the city of Detroit, because we do have some significant issues that we're wrestling with in the city. And I think everybody is cognizant of the issues that we're wrestling with in the city, but they come together on a day to showcase all the positive things about neighborhoods and the people that are working in the neighborhoods and the people that are doing things that are making significant changes in the neighborhood. That energy is what Luther actually brings to the table, and it's almost spontaneous because he doesn't define what we do on Neighborhoods Day. It's up to us to define what best fits our neighborhood, and that just speaks volumes of his leadership and what he's able to do on this day. I mean, over 200 events last year, and I was lucky enough to make it around to a few of them that were close to my neighborhood because we have one going around, but the energy is the same in every one of those centers. Is people making a difference for Detroit, moving it forward instead of getting bogged down in some of the things that we have to deal with in our daily lives. It is the day that we all can come together and really make that difference, just as Luther envisioned when he started.
And I have to say that my energy comes from folks like Errol, Stephanie, and thousands of other all over the city. So it's just part of my DNA, and it's easy for me to do because I believe in this part of me. I'm a son of Detroit. I've always lived here, and I believe it's a great community, despite our challenges, with great people, and that's where my energy comes from.
Well, we've got to leave it there. Best of luck to you for this coming up Neighborhoods Day.